on the Marilyn Denis Show, high-flying entertainment with the cast of the new series Pan Am. And mom expert Laurie Gelman with advice on how to find the right nanny or babysitter. Plus expert advice from Bryce Wild on alternative treatments for common ailments. Now here she is, Marilyn Denis.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Do we have any moms in the audience today? Any mommies in the audience today? They can be in their late 20s and 30s, doesn't matter. Yeah? Okay, so, okay, and yeah, they're still living at home. I'm sorry, that's another show. You know the anxiety and frustration that comes with trying to find the right babysitter or nanny for your kids. I understand that, but there is a way, and that's why we brought in our good friend and great mom. Please welcome mom expert, because she is, Laurie Gelman.
Absolutely.
Mother of two.
Yeah.
It's not easy to find the right person.
No, it's hard. This is the most important hire you will ever do. This is your most precious commodity, and you want the right person. You want someone who gels with you, who gels with your kids, who has the right mindset, but maybe brings something fresh to the table that you're not able to do with your kids.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
So it's a big hire.
Yeah. And by the way, how are your kids?
My kids are great. My older one just got back from sleepaway camp, which was a traumatic event.
Is that your first time?
All of us. No, second year.
Okay.
But I still got the, I miss you so much. I haven't unpacked yet because I know you're going to come and get me. I was like, well, you better unpack. I'm not coming. But, you know, she ultimately loved it. She
That's
won
great.
kindest camper.
Oh.
Can you imagine of all the, I know, right? Jamie Gelman, kindest camper.
That's so nice. That's so nice. But you know, when you were looking, we're going to go through some of your journey on finding the right person. But tell everybody, what's the right thing to do first? What do parents do first?
Make a list. Figure out what it is you want out of a babysitter. Do you want a full-time, part-time live-in? Do you want them nights and weekends? Do you want somebody who is going to travel with you? Because that's a whole other, you know, person. They need a passport. Do you want someone who's just very casual and you can pick up the phone and call them anytime? Do you want someone who wants to live with you? You know, I mean,
might it be more than one person?
It can be.
They do the occasional babysitter and then the nanny.
Takes a village.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
You have a daily one, and then you have someone on the weekends, maybe, or nights. You don't want to overstress somebody. This is a really important person in your life, though, and this is something you want to do properly.
Okay, so physically, do I talk to them? Do I go online? What do you want us to do?
Well, the first thing you want to do is put the word out to your friends. The Mom Network is the sharpest network out there, and the Mom Social Network in Canada specifically is fantastic. You've got Mom Nation, you've got Wonder Moms, you've got Baby Center, which I work for. They're a fantastic group of people. And
what do they do? So what they're just
Twitter.
Yeah.
Go tweet a few things, and people will come back with all the information that you're looking for. I know somebody in Forest Hill. I know somebody here. But also, I mean, think globally, but act locally. Ask your friends. Ask the person next door. And also, if you're changing one babysitter for another, ask your old babysitter if they can recommend somebody, because they have a vested interest in your children.
Sure they do.
Hopefully, they love your children, and they want to see a smooth transition.
Now, you also know, too, that if you have a favorite babysitter and your friend calls you up and says, can I borrow your babysitter?
You never do that.
You
Absolutely
never.
Freaking not.
You never do that, because you don't want to lose your babysitter.
Yeah.
So it's great to share information, Laurie Gelman, but you must be very careful with whom you share it, you know.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Don't go around bragging about what a great babysitter you have, because people will steal them.
Okay.
It does happen.
It's happened to me a couple of times.
Really?
Okay. So let's talk about the job.
Okay.
Okay. What is the job? You know, questions you should ask that person.
Right. So you want to meet them. You want to figure out what you want to ask, and you want to be really specific with your questions. What kind of experience do they have babysitting? What age of kids do they babysit? If they're really good with babies, but they don't have a lot of experience with 7- or 8-year-olds, then they're maybe not somebody, or vice versa, if someone's never taken care of a newborn, you know. You want to know how they're going to get to work that day. How are they, you know, what are their transportation needs? You want to know what their discipline philosophy is, if it matches with yours. You want to know what they, you know, like to feed the kids, how they like to entertain the kids. These are all things you need to know. Yeah. And I think that you should actually, I'm on the fence about whether you do this in your home or you meet them first somewhere else. I've done it both ways.
What did you feel?
Well, I like meeting them first, you know, in a neutral place, so I can get a feel for them and they can get a feel for me.
What was your neutral place? Like a coffee shop?
Yeah, coffee shop, exactly. What. It was actually, for every babysitter, it's been the same one that I've done it with. But it's also nice to have them in your home with the kids. Maybe that could be the second phase, is have them in your home with the kids, see how they respond to them, see how the kids, you know,
So you're
react
upstairs
to them.
while they're playing with the kids and doing...
Well, you're talking with them, but yeah, you can leave them alone for a few minutes and see what happens.
Yeah. I agree with that, too. And you can hear how they play. Do they play with the kids?
Right. Do they play with the kids? How do they speak to them? You know, I've actually found a nanny one of the craziest ways I found one was something called nanny speed dating. It wasn't really called that, but that's what I called it because it was literally a bunch of people who need, listen, if you are a mompreneur in Canada and you want to make some bucks, open up a nanny speed dating because this is my gift to you. Somebody go out there and do it because you get all these parents who need a babysitter, you get all these nannies or babysitters who need a job, and the parents sit there and every 5 minutes a bell rings and a new nanny comes and sits in front of you and you get to interview them for 5 minutes, and what you do is you get like a breakdown list. You get sort of, well, I have 3 candidates possibly from that, and then you go and interview them again.
Okay, so that's good.
Yep.
That's really good. You might find more, you might be, you know, it'd be an auction at the end. You know,
yeah,
it might be an auction.
There was one woman who was so desperate. She the first woman who sat down, she goes, "Are you ready to work right now?" And the woman said, "Yes." She hired her on the spot, took her into her car, her limo, and this is like spoiled New York people.
Yeah.
And this woman, we never saw her again. I don't know what the heck happened to her, but she got a job immediately, and
the nanny got kidnapped.
And the nanny got kidnapped. But then she's like stuck with these kids that she's never met, and the woman left her with these kids.
Yeah.
So that's the extreme other version.
Sure.
But also check references.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Check references. You have to do that. Those are things that they should come with. References.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else that they should come with, you know, as far as, you know, things that they've done, or they camp counselors, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
I'm looking for anything.
You know, listen, any sort of training that you have, the more experience, the better, as far as I'm concerned, and the more nice things that you can hear said about them.
Yeah.
The references, I mean, I had a woman, loved her in it was like the nanny speed dating, and I loved her. I thought she was great, but she had a distinct accent, and so she said, "Oh, you can call this woman. I worked with her for years." Blah blah blah. Called her. Guess who answered the phone? She's like, "Oh yes, she's a lovely girl." And I was like,
"It's the same person."
Wait a second, it's you. I'm like, hang on.
Oh my gosh. So online, asking the specific questions that make you feel comfortable. I personally, because Adam's 23 right now, I went to my Shoppers Drug Mart. And I went to the pharmacist and I said, of all the girls that work part-time, are there any of them interested in babysitting? He said, I've got a couple of them for you.
So that's a different kind of babysitter, though.
Yeah.
If you just want part-time.
That was part-time.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You have to know what you want. And you could have a full-time nanny. She gets a break. So do you look at the teenager next door as a possible, you know, like that's why I say there's a full-time person and there could be a part-time. The teenager next door.
That's always a great thing to have a teenager next door. There's just a few things you want to make sure of.
Right.
One, that they've done a babysitting course of some kind, that maybe they have some CPR or first aid training, just a little bit, just so you feel comfortable, and that they're at an age where they can realize a situation and act rationally in it.
Right, because they're dealing with your kids.
They're dealing with your kids, but they're a kid themselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, kids today aren't as old as they used to be when we were young.
Do you find that?
Oh, yeah. I felt like I was babysitting when I was 12, and I was fine.
Yeah.
But
we were
a 16-year-old, yeah. Well, we had to be. It was a different time.
It was a different time,
You were just left with,
How much did you make when you babysat?
I made $1 an hour. And I babysat, yeah, right?
So
I babysat 3 kids. This is a true story. 3 kids for 9 hours. The woman gave me $10, and she said, "You owe me $1 for the next time you sit." I remember that.
And look at you now, because you said that story on national television, and she's cringing.
I hope she
goes, "That was me. That was me." No, I'm a bit older than you.
Yeah.
I went from 75 cents to $1 to a big 150. But I will never forget the 2 little girls I babysat. They must be in their 30s now. They have to be. Gail and Dana Peterson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So if you're watching, please give me a call.
But let me just tell you, and a lot of moms worry that the babysitter, they're going to love the babysitter more than they love me. They always remember who mom is. Don't worry. No one goes to therapy when they're 30 and complains about the babysitter. Trust me. It's all about the mom.
Good. Nothing like hearing from a real mom, okay, when it comes to finding. It's not an easy task. Thanks, Laurie. Thank you so much. Laurie Gelman. Good to see you, too. Love you. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Up next, child sleep expert Tracy Reese talks about the home